Hey everybody, I'm the Bat Otter, and I'm back with the the thing that all of you have been waiting for, the final review of Berserk Volume 1, Deluxe Edition. You know, this super thick book that you could probably kill someone with. Not that you should, but if you do, you might, you might summon these guys. Where'd they go? There they are. You might summon them, the Guardians of Desire, if you kill somebody with this book. You still shouldn't, but you could. Yeah, so we left off where Guts absolutely demolished the slug right in front of his daughter. Didn't feel anything about it. And in a pretty brutal and ferocious, vicious scene, I have to say, where I'm missing it. It's somewhere around here. Where Guts cuts him in half with his teeth. Now there's this idea, like that junkyard dog kind of thing, where you think of a junkyard dog and you think this just ferocious animal that's feral that will snap at anything. Like, that's kind of what I get whenever I'm looking at this, when I see Guts with this thing in his mouth, because just like a dog, he's got something in his mouth. He's beaten up, he's bruised. I feel like a junkyard dog is the best way to describe Guts in this moment, and then everything after is just purely insult to injury. So we get to not a lull, but a little bit of a lull in the action, I should say, in this coming part of the book, where he's crying out, "I don't want to die." The Behelit gets the blood, it screams. Now, this is honestly pretty creepy. I remember the nights that I was reading this, I'd hear noises around outside, and I'd be like, what? I look out the back window and I see like a shadow move, but it's just my eyes adjusting to the light. It honestly creeped me out, and I read Junji Ito stuff, and that didn't even sufficiently creep me out to that extent. So, like I said, Miura's storytelling ability mixed with his artwork it's a perfect combination, perfect synchronicity, if you could say that. And once again, you get this real bad feeling that something real messed up is about to happen, because the landscape changes to this unorthodox, very unknown, disturbing landscape. I'm sure this is a reference to a classical art piece that originally inspired landscape like this, landscape, buildingscape, architecture, whatever you might call it, that I don't know the name of, but I would like to look into stuff like this. I'm always interested in different forms of artwork, especially whenever it takes, honestly, a lot of skill to design something like that and make it look good and coherent. So Guts, the brand, I believe it's called, is freaking out on him. He knows something bad is coming, and that junkyard dog comes back up because he finally sees who is revealed to be the Guardians of Desire. Leading them is Griffith, and these guys are just monsters. The way that they look, it's so devilish. You could tell their personalities just by the way they look. This stoic knight, this George Costanza, this guy, Medusa, and, you know, George Costanza's little brother. You already know exactly how they are, and you get this ominous vortex above the castle that all the townspeople are looking up at, not knowing what's going on. And once again, the cool thing about art like this is, from a reader's perspective, you look at it and you think, oh, that's a pretty cool scene, that's nice, it's different, it stands out. But as an artist, being able to draw something like this, it's a double, it's like double points, two birds with one stone. As an artist, you might be thinking, I want to draw something like this or draw something like this. You see that idea, you find a way to incorporate it into your story, and you're doing this not only to enhance the story, but to have some fun and experiment with things as an artist. And again, make for some very unique and interesting compositions all around. And obviously, these guys are monsters. I think this is more dialogue heavy, like I said. He's bleeding, he sees Griffith, and all he wants to do is attack her, him. I'm not totally clear on that, but don't spoil it for me. I still haven't read anything past the Guardians of Desire. And it's for the most part, this is a very dramatic, exposition heavy, talks more about the story than anything else going on. And we get some more lore. Little Mega Mind here he starts talking to him about what he wants. He doesn't want to die. He wants to continue to go. He's too afraid of it. And he kind of starts to reason with him. He says, avenge me, I want you to take his life. And he's like, oh, no. You can't just sacrifice anybody. And as this is happening, Guts gets up. Adrenaline dumps because he wants to take out Griffith. To which, no success. She's super powerful. He can barely walk. And he gets flung across the place. The fact that he couldn't even get up to her. I'm going as I go. Y'all know how I review things. But it's really intense. Again, Guts is on the edge of no more strength, no more nothing. And it's building to something that's going to happen. A sacrifice. If this guy wants to go, he needs to sacrifice somebody. He needs to give somebody to the Guardians of Desire. But in order to, as little George Costanza puts it, you'll be able to sever any last remnants of your own humanity. He's going to be pulling a real Dio moment here. But he can't sacrifice Guts. He must sacrifice his one and only daughter. Dramatic music plays, right? Who would have seen that one coming? And he doesn't want to. He's a squirming bug on the ground that doesn't want to sacrifice his own daughter. And she does not know what really happened between him and the mother. She just knows after a night long of killing heretics, homeboy comes home, he just wants to see his loving wife, and he sees a giant orgy wrapped around a statue of, what's that guy's name again? I'm blanking on the name. Baphomet, that guy. So he kills them all, as you do. You come back to your house, you see a big orgy around a satanic pagan symbol, and you just kill everybody who's in the fires of lust and passion and all that nasty stuff. And he's about to kill his wife, but his wife is like, you're not gonna do it. You're too much of a coward. So he summons, using the Bahilit, to get rid of his remnants of humanity, and he kills her. It's pretty simple, honestly. He devours her, eats up her legs. Pretty gruesome. And that's what that mark is. It's the brand of sacrifice, which is what was on Guts. Who knows what that means, right? And of course the daughter is sufficiently traumatized as this stupid thing starts flowing towards her. And Guts, in an uncharacteristic moment, calls for Puck to heal him up. He says, hurry up. I need to do something about this. He doesn't want the daughter to be sacrificed. It seems like Guts consistently has something for kids. Likes younger. He is careful. He is caring of young girls. Probably because of something in his past. We get an old shot of Griffith as the story goes on. The sacrifice is coming towards her. Guts is going to use his last strength to probably save her as the pits of hell themselves open wide up. Which is, again, I don't understand how people are able to do this with screen tones. To me, screen tones as an art in themselves are incredible because you're carving out each of these spaces and with the knife and everything like that. It's very, very impressive stuff. And we see some familiar faces in hell, because why wouldn't we? There's some pretty messed up stuff going on in this universe. As the daughter, again, sufficiently traumatized, just all these different things happening, Guts concerned about her. And we get the Count dragged to the depths of hell by all of these grieving, tormented souls. It's very, very creepy. I mean, y'all can see for yourselves. It's hard to review something like this because it's all just so good. It's also so narrative driven as well as with the artwork that I'm just kind of flipping through the pages telling y'all what's happening. And he gets dragged into the pits. The daughter doesn't like it. Of course, seeing her father get dragged into the pits of hell. Guts is trying to get pulled in, but he uses that little blaster cannon in his arm to release the hold of him. Griffith, uninjured, of course she is. And they say, we're out. And he's left back at the castle under a nice sky, under a severed body. But what a nice image. Calming, stars, moon, a little girl sobbing. Everything characteristic of A Night Under the Stars, right? And in this, she's just broken. Again, she's the little girl who just went through all these things. And I know that Miura is, as the series goes on, he becomes a little bit too rapey. But this trauma, clean trauma, is that the right way to put it? And Guts kind of understanding how she feels. He says, go ahead, kill yourself. He hands her the knife. And she almost does it, too. Pretty messed up. But she falls under the ground beneath her falls. It's a destroyed castle. Poor Puck is trying to stop her from cutting her own wrists. It's really sad. It's really messed up. It really makes you feel something. Again, I haven't read a story that evokes emotion as much as this one has in forever, honestly. Usually reading comics, it's fun. It's like, oh, that was good. Those good art, whatever. But this, to me, it's a story that I'm so invested in. And as she falls, Guts can't help but save her, unfortunately. It has to be in the most gruesome way possible, where he reaches out his blade that she has to hold on to, cutting her hands as he pulls her back up to safety. And she's just left there crying like a little girl, because that's what she is. And even Guts himself, he's not too cold about it. He's putting on that display, but as he walks away, we get an uncharacteristic show of emotion that even catches Puck off guard. And that ends the Guardians of Desire, which goes into Guts' origin story. And this is the most metal origin story that I've ever seen. A battalion of troops walking by, cruising by a tree with a bunch of women hanging, men and women, who knows, and you see a half-born baby, bloody, under dead skeletons. It's disgusting, honestly. But that's Guts. Why wouldn't that be how Guts was born, right? And this begins the Golden Age. I've heard a lot of good things about this. He's raised by pretty much a broken down woman psychologically. I don't think we get much on her backstory, but she chooses to raise the broken child. I mean, how poetic, right? This guy acts as the father. Guts watches his own surrogate mother die in front of him due to diseases, and he's raised very early going into battle. Has a tough father figure who kind of abuses him, honestly. And eventually, we get to Miura's characteristic writing quality. Controversial, nonetheless. Here soon. But it is a nice little thing. Why does Guts carry around a big sword? Because when he was little, he had no mother. So he slept with the sword. What a childhood that guy had, right? Not the best. Training with it, it's always bigger than him. Storming castles, doing all these different things from a young age. And it just slowly starts to build the character that we see in the current chapters of what we read. And unfortunately, the story ends with one of the other soldiers going to, as you can see, read the room, molest him, rape him, do all that nasty stuff to him. Which ends the first volume, the first edition of Berserk Deluxe Edition. Again, proper format, great hardcover, great binding, large size. Here's my hand. Here's a water bottle. It's pretty big. It's bigger than most manga. It's even bigger than most comic books in terms of the hardcover format. But I liked it. The entire thing, if y'all couldn't tell. I really liked the story. It was gruesome. It was brutal. It didn't pull any of its punches. I've heard that it can be gratuitous later on in the story at times. Obviously, with Guts being assaulted at the end of it. I've heard that Miura kind of runs that trope, if you will, into the ground. But I think it has a very good beginning. Again, I've heard a lot of good things about the Golden Age arc, and I'm excited to read more of it whenever I get enough money to actually afford a $50 book, right? But to me, it's worth it. It's worth every penny. From the artwork to the storytelling, everything about it I enjoyed. And having the first arc of this book where he takes down the first apostle, the snake guy, if you will, to all of the things that you learn from the cripple in this part of the story, who ends up getting taken out by the Count, to the Count himself, to the Behelit. It just keeps on adding, building to something, and using subtle character reactions can build a story, can invest you in the story just by little pieces here and there. Ultimately, to bring you all the way towards an origin story. How did all of this crap go down? Why is Guts who he is? Which is a question that you've asked from the very beginning because of how well the story was written. So, to me, the pacing is great. It builds properly. All the scenes add substance to the story. And even the grotesque aspects of them, at least at this point, are not really gratuitous, in my opinion. It's not for everybody, by any means. I know a lot of people would be turned off even by the first arc, the very first page of Guts having sex with a demon and blasting her head off. But it's good. To me, there's substance in it. So, yeah, that's been my thoughts on the Berserk Volume 1 as a whole, from the first arc all the way to the very beginning of the Golden Age, which I've heard a lot of good things about. So, yeah, hope you guys liked it. Probably won't be seeing a lot of Berserk from me anytime soon. But I do have JoJo in mind to review next. So, look forward to that. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Comment on the video. Tell me what you think of Berserk as a whole. Well, without the spoilers. But just this whole thing. The art, the story, all that sort of stuff. So, I'll see y'all next time.